Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the TCT Podcast or on YouTube. My name is Gavin Campbell. Alongside me, as always, my two good friends, Tyson Snyder and Cale Fleming. On today's rundown, we got to get into some Illinois Fighting Illini sports, along with the MLB Playoffs, and then we're going to get into some football, NFL, Thursday night football, upcoming games on Sunday, and then, of course, we got to finish up with Central Illinois high school football, as well as a new segment here that we have not talked about in a few months. The NHL is back, hockey is back, and Cale's going to hit us with his top three performers of last night, of the opening night of the NHL season. With that said, let's go ahead and bring it back up to the top, and let's get into some University of Illinois Fighting Illini sports. And let's go ahead and start with the Illini versus Rutgers game tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Central Time. Cale, go ahead.
Win. Rutgers, honestly, as everybody knows, is not good. They're very subpar, which, you know, they've had a lot of adversity they've had to deal with the last couple of years. They just can't put together a good football team. They're like Illinois out there. They just can't get star players to come just for the sheer fact that they're bad and they can't win games. With that being said, Illinois has a lot of talent on this roster. We even coming off of the bye week this week, we should be able to win out there at Rutgers. We have like a 60% chance of winning this game.
I think it's about 63.
62.6.
Yeah.
So with that being said, there shouldn't be much conversation. Illinois should go in there, get the job done, and clean house. That's about all I have to say. Illinois is going to come out. Now, whether they win by 40 or 50 points, that's yet to be determined. How they play coming off of the bye week. I just feel like Illinois should go in there and at least win by 4 touchdowns. What do you think?
You would think, just based off their quarterback's track record of 8 interceptions in 5 games with only 2 touchdown passes. That is not very good whatsoever. Their running back, I forget the gentleman's name.
Blackshear.
There we go, Blackshear. Compared to Reggie Corbin alone, and that's excluding Mike Epstein, he's got the same amount of rushing yards. I think Corbin actually has 1 more rushing yard.
One less.
One less. And
real close.
He has 15 more carries than Blackshear does. So Corbin's yards per carry is way higher than this guy. No reason why Illinois shouldn't be able to pound the football down these guys' throats. If for whatever reason the Rutgers is able to stop them, there's no reason MJ Rivers shouldn't show up in this game. This will be his first real chance after going up against Penn State since Western Illinois that he'll get a chance to show out. He's played a couple tough opponents the past few weeks. And going up against Rutgers, he should be able to show out maybe 3 or 4 touchdown passes in this one. We'll have to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I wanted to touch on was the quarterback play. So I'm glad you brought up Sikowski for the Rutgers. Not only with that 8 interceptions, but he's 57 of 115 on the year. That's like a 49% completion percentage. So the quarterback play, let alone, I think we've got a major advantage. Rivers doesn't have the touchdown passes to show for it, but he's only got 1 interception on the year in almost 3 complete games. So Rivers is playing way better. Corbin is phenomenal, and we've got Mike Epstein there to back him up. So I don't really think this is a conversation. I think the Illinois will win this one handily. I don't know about 4 touchdowns, but I think they've got the ability to go in and beat up on Rutgers pretty bad, especially considering the Rutgers are letting up 36 points a game. And the Illini are letting up 31, including that blowout loss against Penn State. So not too bad. And then the first couple weeks of the season were rough, letting up more points than we should have against subpar teams. But I think the Illini will win this one pretty handily.
I'm glad you brought that up. That Penn State loss and that point spread, that all came in the fourth quarter when we unraveled. We just ran out of gas. We ran out of steam. So hopefully that will play into something a little bit of it as well. The fact that we just ran out of gas against the top 10 team with a Heisman potential winning quarterback. So
yeah, well, and you have to remember at the end of the third, 28-24. If you keep a 4-point spread against a team like that, you're in really good shape.
Absolutely.
It's like you said, they just completely fell apart.
But I feel like this win against I don't want to say win because it's football. Anything can
Not
happen.
yet, yeah.
But I feel like going into Rutgers, if we do win this game, that's going to give us some momentum even more. Even though they're not that good, it's just that we're really young. So any Big Ten win for these young kids is a great thing, honestly, just for the fact that it's going to help out that their mentality with the winning atmosphere and everything else like that, especially stealing one on the road. Because then I feel like we can go on to beat Purdue and Northwestern, possibly even Nebraska, Wisconsin, we're not going to beat Wisconsin. Let's just be real.
Right.
But I feel like if we win this game Saturday morning, then that's going to just boost our confidence even more.
Yeah,
even
definitely
it is
should.
Rutgers.
Yeah.
Puts them in a really good position. I mean, the Illini are scoring 27 points a game compared to the 16 for the Rutgers. So you can automatically see the differentials on offense. And you could say that their points allowed, Rutgers, it's a little skewed, like I touched on with letting up a lot against Penn State. Well, they let up 52 against Ohio State. But they came back the next week after that and let up 55 to Kansas.
And Kansas, in the past, we know is not a good football team.
Kansas has won a total of 3 games in the last 3 years. They're not a very good team. I don't know if that's completely accurate, but they're not good.
It's pretty close.
But our yardage per game is 409 yards. Their yardage per game is 281. So you can automatically see the offensive parities on both sides of this ball. And if we can't pull this win out, it's looking pretty rough. But from everything I'm seeing, everything I've looked at, just the player differential that we've got, the young talent, we should absolutely be able to pull this one out and handle it well. And that'll lead us into the following weeks to come to hopefully put together a string of pretty good wins.
Yeah, 2 things I want to touch on real quick before we move on is I'm glad that you talked about confidence because our secondary needs it badly. And I think if they're going to get a boost, it's in this game.
Against a quarterback with 8 picks.
Absolutely.
He throws 2 or 3 more.
And that's what you want from your freshmen, your sophomores. You want them to get that confidence moving forward just so that they can hopefully play some better defense because we know this secondary so far this season has been nothing but atrocious. One more thing I want to touch on is the point spread in this game. It's set at 5.5, but you have to remember we're at Rutgers, and usually the home team gets about a 3-point spread no matter what if the teams are even. So make it 8.5. They give the Rutgers 3. That's what gets us the 5.5. So the fact that we should win this game by more than a touchdown at Rutgers, we should win by bare minimum, at least a couple scores, but we'll see. With that said, let's go ahead and move on here. We need to talk about Quincy Guerrier. He's narrowed down his list of schools to 3, and 2 of those include the Oregon Ducks and our own Illinois Fighting Illini. Cale, I know you have some information on this.
So where it sits right now, excuse me, Guerrier is a 6'7" wing who can catch the ball and shoot off the catch. That's where he excels. Man, excuse me. So right now he's got a 60% commit to Oregon and a 40% commit to Syracuse. So with that Syracuse percentage, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that from everything else that I've studied on Guerrier. I feel like Illinois should have that 40%. But the 60% to Oregon, as we talked about off air, is really concerning. Because Oregon basketball, as we all know, can produce some solid basketball team. So
they got a lot to offer, too. They get a new uniform every night. So, I mean, that's kind of cool.
Absolutely. And not only that, they have 2 McDonald's All-Americans with one, the top player or second best player in this class right behind Zion Williamson, who committed to Duke, obviously. The Lewis King is a big center out there in Oregon who's got to commit with them. And I feel like that could sway Guerrier's potential influence a little bit just for the fact that he is a McDonald's All-American. But Guerrier coming out of Canada to get an offer from Syracuse, Oregon, that's a pretty big feat just for the fact that those are 2 prestigious basketball schools. But Illinois being able to make the top 3 with Guerrier, with Terrence Shannon Jr., and E.J. Liddell, that's proven a lot of things to me right there that, okay, so what they're selling these kids are buying to make it to their top 3. Now the next step is honestly just to get these kids here. So
closing the deal.
Closing the deal. That's exactly right. But when it comes to Guerrier, I'm just glad that we've made the top 3. With Liddell, I was kind of figured we weren't going to get him to Illinois just for the fact of his sheer talents, and he got that big offer from Ohio State. But with Guerrier, I don't see why we can't land him, even though Oregon is leading the race right now. And Syracuse supposedly is in second when he's 40% committed to them. He's not sure yet. So I just feel like Illinois can steal this kid and get him in Champaign out of Canada. Yeah, that's just, honestly, we need him here. But we still have Oscar Sheboy as well that has yet to commit, and Terrence Shannon Jr.
Right. One thing I would say is I'm going to agree with you on the Syracuse pick. I don't believe that that's even in the running at this point. I believe the last couple of years they've been very disappointing with their basketball program. But with that said, there's Oregon. And like you guys said, the Ducks, the things they have to offer, Tyson, like you said, is just it blows Illinois out of the water. Now, if you want to put in Brad Underwood and his staff and what they're trying to put together here, I think that's going to be the thing at the top of his list and what persuades him to come here. And just being a part of this young team, if he wants to be the guy on this team besides Trent Frazier, obviously, that's probably, those two things are what's going to play the biggest factor in his decision, in my eyes. But
Gary A. does have an official visit next week sometime, so he will be on campus sometime next week. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Syracuse is completely out of the option. Like I touched on with Oregon, has a lot of stuff to offer. I don't know what part of Canada he's from, but Syracuse is okay. So Quebec is even closer to Syracuse, so it puts him a little bit closer to home. He'd also be playing for the legendary Jim Boeheim.
Yep.
It's hard to argue against that. You know what Jim Boeheim's record is. This dude's an absolute stud of a coach. Everything he does happens. They make the tournament almost every year, whether they're good or bad. And we've seen it in the last couple of years. They haven't had a good team. Still found a way to win 28 to 30 games and make the tournament and push deep. They made the Final Four 2 years ago. They made the 16 last year or something like that. So Syracuse is a very good team, and I think he can see the potential there. So I wouldn't completely rule out Syracuse. But at this point, to me, I think he would be considering Oregon pretty heavily as well, just based off of the sheer fact, hey, it's a Nike school. Nike runs everything there. They've got all these All-Americans. They've got a good coach. And it's a program I think he can turn around more than he can turn around Syracuse.
Yeah, with that, there's also a lot of NBA talent that comes out of there. Deion Waiters just came out of there. Carmelo Anthony's came out of Syracuse. So that's another big influence as well, is that Illinois, the last player to go to the NBA and have a successful career is Darren Williams. So,
which is all the way back in 2005.
Absolutely. Although the 2005 Illini basketball team, it was probably the best team the three of us will ever see in our lifetime. I want to get proved wrong, but as of right, the way it sits, that's going to be the best team we see. But no, I feel confident that we can land Gary A. We just need to commit, though, at this point right now, whether it's a 5-star, whether it's a 2-star, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Just get one.
We just need a commit, because we're falling back into the way we were last year. So if we could just land, whether it be Gary,
something to get the ball rolling, man.
Sheboy, somebody, man. Terrence Shannon. Yes, all these guys are good, but we just need somebody in Champaign to verbally commit and then come sign with us.
Absolutely, and we'll keep a watch on that as the weeks go by, as the months go by. Well, let's go ahead and jump into some MLB playoffs.
Boy, am I glad we get a repick.
Absolutely. After the wild card games the past couple of days, the New York Yankees coming away with a convincing win over the Oakland Athletics, as well as the Colorado Rockies. They really took a close one against the Chicago Cubs, 13 innings, winning 2-1.
The game went till 12:30.
Yeah, after midnight.
Tyson watched every inning.
I'm not going to lie. I stopped watching in the 11th. I went to sleep, but I'm kind of glad I did because I didn't want to see the Cubs lose in that fashion. But with that said, we have a wild card set. We have our divisional round set in both leagues. Who are you guys taking in this round?
I'm still taking Milwaukee, and I'm going to take L.A. in the National League. And I'm going to take Boston over the Yankees, and then I'm going to take Houston over Cleveland. I just feel like that those 4 teams are just too tough.
Yeah, I'm going to swap over with you here. I'm going to take Milwaukee against the Rockies. I would really like to see the Rockies win, but we saw them lose last night against the Brewers, and that didn't sway my decision at all. It only solidified it because they only put up 2 runs again against a Brewers team that starter only went 3 innings. They had a combined 6 pitchers pitch that 10 innings. So the fact that they can only put up 3 after their starter was pulled after 3, or 2 after 3, we haven't seen the run scoring potential that this Rockies team has, especially against the Cubs. They went 13 innings and still only got 2 runs. And then against the Dodgers, the game before that, they got 2 runs again in a game that they were already getting blown out of, so it didn't really even matter. They're having a hard time putting up runs, just like the Cubs were, and I don't see that helping them when it comes to the Brewers, because we know the Brewers can score, we know the Brewers can pitch, so if you can't hit off of them, you're kind of screwed. So I'm going with the Brewers. I think they'll take that one in 3 games. I think they'll sweep the Rockies. I'm going to take Atlanta still. I'll take Atlanta over L.A.
I'm going to that 7-2 loss last night.
I will fight you. I believe in Freddie Freeman and the boys. I'm still taking Boston over New York and Houston over Cleveland. I think Houston over Cleveland is still not going to be close.
I think we're almost unanimous with the Milwaukee pick over Colorado. I really want the Rockies to walk away with the win over these guys, mostly because I don't want to see the guys that beat the Cubs get swept or even beaten 4 games in this series, which is very possible, especially after the point that you made. I mean, 2 runs, you got to put more up than that. But we've seen it the past week
Yelich
or so.
Scored 3 by himself last night. So.
Right. Well, and obviously, I think he's the front runner for the MVP right
he's
now.
Way out front.
Excuse me. So, with that said, I'm going to leave that series where it is. As far as the Dodgers-Braves series is concerned, I don't see why there's any reason LA doesn't walk away with this. I really hope I'm wrong, Tyson. I hope your Braves pick is right, but I can't pick against the Dodgers right now, especially after Game 1.
That's fair.
And as far as the last 2 series, Houston over Cleveland. That's going to be a sweep. Boston, New York. This is probably the most intriguing series to me.
Oh yeah, not just you. I think baseball fans in general.
This no reason this shouldn't go 5 games, and I'm very, very excited.
200-win teams, both top teams in the league this year. Not just the AL, the entire league, most wins. It'll be very, very close.
From the same division, that AL East. Yeah. I am very, very familiar with both of these teams, being that they beat up on my Blue Jays all season long. But with that said, I'm still going to take Boston in 5. Everything else should be monetarily easy to predict, but I'm going to take Boston over the Yankees.
That's a good pick.
So let's
agreed. If Boston was going to lose, though, it would be this series.
Oh yeah,
I don't think they've got a chance to lose besides the Yankees, because I think the Yankees actually took the series throughout the regular season against Boston, or at least they were close. It was the only team that Boston was close to 500 with throughout the season. So the Yankees, we've seen they have what it takes to take Boston down, but we've seen them get blown out in a few games too.
All right, well, with that said, we know that the Rockies took out the Cubs in the wild card round. They had a heck of a season, ups and downs. I just want to ask you guys, as Cub fans, what was your most memorable part of the season, and what did you appreciate most?
My most memorable part of the season came in the very last game that we played of the year when Johnny Lester was Johnny Lester through 6 in the wild card game. He came out and he did his job. Yes, he let up 1 run, but he also did it to one of the hottest hitters in the game, in Charlie Blackmon. John Lester, I want to tip my cap to you again, man. Every year you just steal my heart just for the fact that you can do amazing things when it comes to be October. But also I want to touch on one other guy, and that's your man, Javi Baez. He had a remarkable year. If we could just tighten up his plate discipline a little bit, not a whole lot, just a little bit, to where he could, really do some damage at the plate. Those 2 guys just really impressed me this season through all the adversity that the Cubs have had to deal with, playing 7,000 games at the end of the year in the last month of October, traveling all over the country, and having everybody on the DL for at least a major amount of time. And Schwarber going down in the middle of the season, Bryant being on the DL twice, Darvish not having him all year, Rizzo going down early in the year for 3 weeks. We had to deal with a lot of adversity this season that this young team really hasn't had to deal with. So I want to tip my cap to this young Cubs program just for the fact that, yes, next season we'll be back. We'll be better than ever, especially when Theo beefs up our bullpen.
How about you, Tyson?
Well, that's 4 95-win seasons in a row now. That's saying something by itself. So, yes, disappointing. We couldn't take it further. But, once again, it's another great season. And those talking Joe Madden is out, you're crazy.
Wrong.
You're absolutely wrong.
Fake news.
But my favorite part of the season has to be that Bodie walk-off grand slam. I don't know if I've ever seen a cooler baseball moment than that, besides the Cubs winning the World Series. But that walk-off grand slam was phenomenal from a guy that had just been called up. It was so cool to watch. But, yeah, absolutely, that was my favorite.
Not only that, with that home run, that was his first career ever, and even in his minor league days, grand slam, walk-off, and his first ML or major league home run. So that right there, hitting a walk-off granny for your first major league home run, that moment there just kind of, I don't know, it was kind of just
it'll stick with you for a while, if not the rest of your life. That doesn't come around but once a blue moon.
David Bodie needs to be on this roster, I can tell you that.
I think after this season, and this is coming from a non-biased perspective, I think that he has solidified a roster spot. There's no reason why he shouldn't be a starter next year.
Last takeaway I got is all I know is Bryce Harper's going to look good in blue out there in right field.
We'll see with free agency. And with that said, I need to ask one more question before we move on to the NFL. And that is, where do the Oakland A's go from here? Making the wild card game, going up against the second best team in all of baseball this year. and then really getting stomped. They got hit in the mouth. Where does Oakland go from here?
Get some talent on their roster. I don't know how they made it this far with what they had. They kind of just made it work back in the Moneyball days. They really just don't have any big-name players on their roster, so they need to go out and make some roster additions, shore up some of those weaker spots. But to make it this far on what they had was amazing in itself. So just shoring up some of those positions, maybe getting a couple new pitchers, I think they're right back here again next year.
I want to talk about their pitching, Tyson, now that you brought that up. They're relying on guys such as Patrick Cahill and Eddie Jackson, who were in the 2014 Cubs roster. So when you got them two guys in your bullpen, yikes, man.
Patrick Cahill had a decent stretch, but he's kind of at the back end of that decent stretch.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, he's definitely not the pitcher he once was. He doesn't have the gas anymore.
So I want to go back off of pitching, though. Other than their starters, their bullpen needs work.
Yeah.
They've got Liam Hendricks. They got Blake Turayan and Sean Manaea. Those three guys themselves can get you 3 wins a week. So their pitching's fine. It's just their bullpen needs help. When it comes to position players, I don't know how much help they need, to be real honest, because they still got Chris Davis. They've got Stephen Piscotty from the Cardinals. They've got and Mike Canahan, he did a pretty decent job, as well as Kendall Graveman. So they've got decent position players. I just feel like that they got hot at the right time with these younger guys, and their pitching just couldn't hold up. But as you can see in the wild card game with the Yankees, their first at bat, or Judge's first at bat, he hits a 2-run bomb, and that just took all the wind out of their sails, especially playing in the Bronx. So I don't know, man. It's going to be kind of interesting. They're in the same position as the Cubs. They need to beef up their bullpen. Maybe they could work on the catcher position and possibly some infield, but I don't feel like they need to work a whole lot on their position players.
All right, that's fair enough. And let's go ahead and jump into the NFL. Definitely excited that we got the divisional round set up for baseball, though. It's going to be a fun weekend to see how things turn out. But getting into the NFL, let's first of all talk about Thursday Night Football last night. New England Patriots versus the Indianapolis Colts. Tom Brady versus Andrew Luck. Brady ultimately came out on top. The Patriots beat the Colts 38-24. Tommy looking really, really good, especially after that blowout of the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. 34 of 44, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns, one of which he ran in, only the 12th one of his career.
Whoa.
Yeah, the 41-year-old getting it done. But he also threw 2 picks last night, looking 41 years old. Andrew Luck, 38 of 59. 59 passes thrown by Andrew Luck last night.
That's a good thing, though, with that shoulder.
Absolutely. He threw for 365 yards, 3 touchdowns, and also had 2 interceptions.
Looking 41 out here.
The biggest takeaway from this game, Tyson, was what?
Touchdown Tommy's still a stud. You disrespected, and he came out here and showed you what he still can do.
Against one of the worst defenses in the league.
Threw 3 touchdown passes and even ran 1 in. I think touchdown Tommy still got it. I don't see why New England can't still win 11, 12 games this year.
Because they play the Jets and Bills twice.
Exactly. So they're still going to win 12 games this year, 11 games this year, and make the playoffs as a 1 or 2 seed. Just because of their division, and touchdown Tommy's still there. So I don't see any reason. I mean, we see that the New England offense is still alive, which was a little bit nice of rejuvenation considering Tom Brady hasn't played up to Tom Brady standards for the first 4 weeks. But we see the offense is still alive. He finally gets Edelman back. He's so a lot of things are going right for him right now, and he even threw a 38-yard touchdown pass to Josh Gordon. And I think that's going to be a deadly combo for at least the next 3 years when Tom Brady's still playing. So,
oh yeah.
But Josh Gordon, I think, adds an element that this New England team hasn't had in a long time since almost Randy Moss. I'm not comparing Josh Gordon to Randy Moss, but I think it's a different element like that.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to argue that. This was better for Josh Gordon than it was for Tom Brady. It was just nice to see him catch one of those long balls, get in the end zone, especially for this Patriots team. I believe this was the first time he was active this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is really good for him. One thing I want to touch on, though, is the emergence of James White in the backfield for New England. Not only running the football, but catching the football out of the backfield. I think even with the addition of Edelman coming back from suspension, Gronk's had his struggles this year, and Josh Gordon's always going to be an it factor with his history. I think James White has been a rock for Brady, and I think he's going to be probably the second or third option moving forward, even in the passing game. I've just been really impressed with him, and I think that he's been a real diamond in the rough ever since the Super Bowl against Atlanta. And I think the Patriots, they have a stud in the backfield now.
Well, you're absolutely right. He led the team in receiving last night. He had 10 receptions for 77 yards. Now, his running wasn't as great last night. He only had 2 carries, though.
Not in this game, yeah.
Right, but traditionally, yeah, he's been a stud out of the backfield. But they brought him back into the backfield and started throwing to him when Sonny Michel wasn't getting the ball. And we saw that offset. Sonny Michel led in rushing, White led in receiving. Michel was another thing that kind of stood out to me. 18 carries, 98 yards, and a 34-yard touchdown run. Michel, it's in that Georgia water, man. I'm telling you, Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel, Todd Gurley, they've all got it. And we finally saw that this week, and last week, I guess, with Chubb blowing up, Sonny Michel having a great week. And we all know Todd Gurley, but Sonny Michel really showed out, and White came out and did well even when he wasn't running the ball. So, yeah, like you said, they've got an absolute stud in White.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts are bad.
That's what it comes down to.
The Colts are bad. Didn't Tom Brady throw his 500th TD last night?
Sure did.
He did, yeah.
Okay, so that's
joining Peyton Manning and Brett Favre.
Yep, one of 3 quarterbacks ever.
Okay, yep. So that's right there. Touchdown. I can hate Tom Brady as much as I want to, and I'm still going to. I don't care for him that much. It's probably because he's good. That's why I don't like him. But I didn't mind Brett Favre and Peyton Manning, so I don't know what it is about Tom Brady I just don't like. But anyway, that's a pretty big feat. Congrats to him. That's even known as Gavin and Tyson here. And they'll probably argue about this even more.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say congrats to Tom Brady, even though I can't stand you, man. Congrats for throwing 500 career TDs. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, just know that I'll always be jealous of you because of the looks, the wife, the house, everything you have.
But and kissing your sons on the mouth.
That's why I hate you. That's why I hate you. I know you'll never hear this, but that's why I hate you.
Wow.
One thing we also need to touch on is Tom Brady has a record now, for whatever it's worth, for throwing to the most receivers for at least one touchdown pass at 71. Josh Gordon broke that record with Vinny Testaverde last night, which he was tied with at 70. Brady now at 71 all time. I just think that that's one of the most bizarre things, that there's been 71 different receivers or backs that he's thrown to, and they've caught, even linemen, that have caught a touchdown pass from Tom Brady. That's almost like Shaq in the NBA, that ever since Shaq came in the league in 1994, I believe, or 93, I believe, excuse me, every single person since then that's won a title has played with Shaq. Tom Brady now has 71 people he's thrown a touchdown pass to. I just think that that's absolutely incredible. One more thing I want to touch on, though, with the Monsters of the Midway getting the bye week this week, or I like the early bye weeks, but we need to talk about the Cowboys here, Tyson. The Texas Bowl, haven't had one in a couple years. We got one now. The Houston Texans hosting the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football at 7:20 Central Time. Deshaun Watson versus Dak Prescott. Who are you taking in this one?
I'm going to take Deshaun Watson in this one in the quarterback comparison. But as far as the game goes, I don't think this Houston defense is going to be able to slow down Zeke. And that's the key to this game. If they slow him down, they slow down the entire offense, and they've got a good shot to win. But I don't think they have what it takes to slow him down. Besides J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney on that front line, if they get past him, there's not really anybody else to stop him. As long as Zeke touches the ball 20-plus times again, has a couple receptions, frees Dak up a little bit, lets him start letting the ball down the field, I don't see any reason that the Cowboys can't win this game. And you touched on it last episode or last week when we were talking. The Texans just don't look like the same team this year. They're not very good.
1-3 on the season.
1-3, and their win came against a subpar Colts team as well, and they won in overtime by a field goal. So I don't have any doubts that the Cowboys can not only keep up with this Texans team, but absolutely shut it down. Deshaun Watson's not having the same type of year. He's got 1,200 yards on the season. That's decent. But he's going against a good Cowboys defense with a hell of a pass rush, and I think they'll be able to get there, pressure him, and shut him down early.
But they're missing Sean Lee.
Yeah, but we got Leighton Vander Esch. He went from a player not to watch on a lot of the Rookie of the Year talks. He's now in the top 4 for a lot of Defensive Rookie of the Year conversations.
And I think that's because of the absence of Lee in the linebacker position.
It gives him that chance to take over and fulfill that leadership role there in the middle and just shut things down because he's a big body.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's got what it takes to shut down anything coming through that middle.
One of my favorite players, not only because he's actually shown flashes of greatness, but because he still rocks the neck brace. I love that. It reminds me of the 70s and 80s, although it does look a little bit more modernized. I still like it. But I'm glad you brought up Ezekiel Elliott. He's going to be the biggest factor in this game.
He's the biggest factor in every game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not wrong. But he's got over 400 yards on the season. Lamar Miller only has 225.
That's just 400 yards on the ground.
Yeah, not including his
not
receptions.
Including reception yards, where he's got 125 reception yards along with that 425 receiving.
Right, just compared though on the ground to Lamar Miller, I mean he's got almost double what he's producing right now, which is incredible. Only on about 15 more carries, so that speaks volume to the best runner in the league right now. Actually leading the league in rushing still, like we said last week. But let's not forget about DeAndre Hopkins on the other side of the ball. This guy is an absolute animal. 30 receptions for almost 450 yards and 2 touchdowns. How do you stop a guy? Who in that Dallas defense can stop him?
I don't think it's going to be stopped by commission here. You can't stop him one-on-one. You can't stop him 2-on-1. So you got to play a lot of zone here, cover him underneath and over the top with someone trailing his back. It's the only way to shut him down. He's an absolute stud. He's a speed demon, and he's got great hands. So if anyone's going to keep up with him, I want to see one of these rookies. Chidobe Awuzie. I love seeing Cheeto play. He's fast. He's got good hands, and he's got great ball skills. And he's a football guy. He's got great football knowledge. So if anyone's going to match up against him, I'd like to see Cheeto. And I think he's one of the few that has the speed to keep up with it. But I think we need Jeff Heath over the top covering him. I think Jeff Heath, he's our most experienced defensive back right now.
Will he play in this game?
I hope so, but probably not. But I think he would give us the best chance to.
Okay. I couldn't remember because I know he got hurt last week.
I hope he's going to play, but I don't know if he will. But he gives us the best chance to shut down DeAndre Hopkins. But if he can't play, like I said, you got to at least double team him to slow him down.
Can we get a score from you?
Cowboys win. We kicked too many field goals. Let's go 23-17.
Okay, we got 23-17 Dallas over Houston in the semi-annual, or seems like semi-annual Texas Bowl. And that's definitely should be a good matchup. I'm glad they moved it to Sunday Night Football. I know I'm excited. Let's go ahead and stick with the football persona right now. The football. We're going to switch it over. We're going to maybe downgrade or maybe upgrade depending on what your forte is. Central Illinois High School football, Week 7. Tyson, go ahead and take it away. I know you got the matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. So I picked the games this week. I picked a lot of close ones that we might have a little bit of conversation about. Start off, I stayed with the Twin City teams. We got Centennial against Lincoln Way Central. Centennial 2-4 on the year. Lincoln Way Central 4-2. Another one of those teams I don't really know a whole lot about. They've played Thornwood as well. We saw Thornwood lose 19-0 against Danville a couple weeks ago. They beat Thornwood 35-0. So I'm going to take Lincoln Way Central in this one. I think they shouldn't have any trouble taking out this Centennial team that's only beat Urbana and Richwood.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, those two teams, Urbana and Richwood, combined 1 win in the past 6 weeks. So that's 12 games. Combined 1-11, not good. So I'm also going to take Lincoln Way Central in this game. Centennial has not impressed me whatsoever. I feel like they've taken a major step back from the past couple years, and it's ultimately been disappointing. So I'm going to take Lincoln Way.
I'm taking Lincoln Way Central as well. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the pick straight. That was a lot of stuff to write.
Okay, we're sticking around this area. We got Central against Peoria. Both teams sitting at 4-2 on the season. Central has swept the Champaign-Urbana area this year, and they beat Danville as well with another good win along the way. Peoria hasn't looked bad, hasn't really looked outstanding yet, but they play some real tough teams. Sitting at 4-2 on the year, they're looking really good. I'm going to take Peoria in this one just because, Central looks good, but three of their wins come against Danville, who's subpar compared to usual, and Centennial and Urbana. So I have a hard time picking Central even though I want to, so I'm going Peoria.
That's also a combined 4 wins between 3 teams, which is not good. I'm also going to take Peoria in this one. Home field advantage as well. You got to throw that in there. It's no knock to Central. They're having a decent season so far. Just the competition has not been the greatest, so that's why I'm taking the Lions in this one.
I'm going to take the Lions as well, but I feel like Central, though, to that point, is going to turn the program around here in the next 2 or 3 seasons. They are showing some flashes, and they are a lot better than what they were at this point last year, but I'm going to have to pick against them. I'm going to go with Peoria.
Well, and Central's traditionally been the team that Urbana and Centennial kind of beat up on.
Yeah.
They're always at the bottom of that Wright Street Trophy. So it's nice to see them kind of come out on the top this year. And like you said, Cale, I think they will have that opportunity to kind of flip their program around in the upcoming years. But our last game for this area, we've got Urbana at Richwoods. You just touched on it, Gavin, 1-11 combined on the season. If any week Urbana's going to win, it could be this one. I'm going with Richwoods. I picked against Urbana every week, and it's worked out for me, and I'm sticking with it.
I'm torn because you're absolutely right. If they were to win a game,
Manual.
It would be this, and we play Manual either next week or the week after. And man, that is tough. The only reason I'm going to go with Richwoods is because they got home field advantage.
Yep.
This is also not a very good program, but man, Urbana just this year has been so disappointing. I mean, the defense has been atrocious. Week after week after week, so I have to go with Richwoods in this one.
Urbana's let me down 5 times this year, and I'm only got me and you are tied now for the lead, so I can't really mess around anymore.
You got to risk it for the biscuit, Cale. If they're going to win, it's going to be this week.
I want to try to. When they play Manual, I might think about it. But okay, I'm taking Peoria, Richwoods.
Next game, we're moving on to another combined 1-11. We got Rantoul against Bloomington Central Catholic.
Go Eagles!
Fly, Eagles, fly.
I picked this one because I wanted to pick with you guys for once. I'm going with Rantoul over BCC here. I think they'll finally pull out the 2-win season.
Oh, thank goodness.
BCC has looked just bad at sitting at 0-6, so yeah. Fly, Eagles, fly.
The biggest surprise this year has been BCC. I can't believe it, and I was really unfamiliar with this team until I did a little bit of research. But 0-6, I think, is just unacceptable for this program. Rantoul, they've lost a couple overtime games. They've also won an overtime game, so they like to keep it close. They also kept it. They were also able to put up 28 points in Week 2 against Prairie Central, which I thought was probably their most impressive feat this season. Mm-hmm. We know how good Prairie Central has been, so I'm also going to take the Eagles in this one. Go Rantoul.
All right, so I'm going to skip down our list a little bit here. I know I'm going out of order, but the next game we're going to talk about is STM and Unity. STM sitting at 4-2. We touched on them having a pretty good season so far this year against Unity, who's not having a good season at all, sitting at 0-6. I'm going to take STM in this one. Unity, another team kind of close to home here, just haven't been able to perform so far this year, and I think STM will take this one pretty handily.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Sabres.
This is not a Unity football team.
Nope.
0-6. This is not a Unity team.
I couldn't tell you the last time they had under 6 wins.
Is this Unity or Urbana?
Exactly. Dude, this is not Unity football. I'm going to take STM just for the fact that they've been really surprising this year. I've picked them 3 times and they've won me 3 games. So go Sabres.
Yeah, if they win this one, they'll be real close to securing one of those playoff spots. And I really think after what we've seen this season and the fight they've put up, there's no reason why they shouldn't be in it. They deserve it.
You got to take 6, right, to get in the playoffs.
Yeah,
5 qualifies you.
Okay.
6
guarantees
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's possible to get knocked out if you have 6 wins, but you have to have 32 other good teams that are better than 6 wins.
Very unlikely.
Very, very unlikely. The next game we're going to talk about, Oakwood against Bismarck-Henning. We touched on Bismarck-Henning last week for the first time this season so far. And I know it's not a team you know a whole lot about, Gavin. Real small school, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But they're sitting at 6-0 on the season.
I know what they're
Oakwood's
about.
2-4.
They took it to Heritage Villa Grove, so I know what they're about.
Yep. Yeah, so we know what they're about, putting up a lot of points. I think they've scored over 40 in their last 5 games. I'm taking Bismarck-Henning in this one, even though Oakwood's lost a couple heartbreakers.
Yeah, I'm also going to take them. I know Oakwood kept it close with Watsika, and they also lost against, I believe, did they lose to St. Joe this season?
Oakwood has not lost to St. Joe.
They haven't played yet, have they?
Yeah, they haven't played yet.
Okay. I guess I must be thinking of someone else. I think of them against that Waseca team.
Oakwood lost to Salt Fork real close, I think.
Okay, so like I said, they've kept it close. They kept it close with Waseca. They've kept it close with Salt Fork. But I don't think they've played a team like this yet. They punched Heritage Villa Grove in the mouth, and I think that Heritage Villa Grove is better than Oakwood. So yes. I don't think they stand a chance against this team. I'll take
Bismarck.
Thank you, Bismarck. Yeah, I just completely blanked out.
Go ahead. I'm pencil man for Bismarck too.
All right, we are gonna touch our last 3 games of the week here. We're gonna move into the Colas. Our first game is gonna be our Cola against Argenta Oriana. Not a team that you hear a whole lot about. Argenta's sitting at 6-0 on the season. They're ranked in the top 10 for I believe it's either 1A or 2A playoffs so far this year.
They're 1, I think. 2A. They're 2A.
They're 2A. Yeah. But yeah, I think they're 4th or 5th in the rankings right now for the 2A playoffs. Against Arcola, who has votes at the top 10 right now for 2A. But I think they're sitting just outside looking in. That or they're 9th or 10th. But Arcola 5-1 on the season, Argenta 6-0. It's going to be a real tough game at Argenta. I think that's what swayed it for me. I think Argenta's going to take this one at home.
I think what swayed it for me is Arcola's only loss is against a Tuscola Warriors team, which they put up 4 touchdowns against that defense, which I thought was really impressive.
And they have absolutely destroyed everybody else.
Exactly.
They beat a tough Cumberland team whose only loss is against Arcola. So.
Absolutely. So I think that's what swayed it for me. I'm going to take Arcola in this one, just try to be a little different. I need to catch up, so hopefully I can do it in this game.
Just so for the record, that is our very first differentiating pick for this week. We've all been unanimous until just now. But I'm taking Argenta as well. 6-0, Arcola 5-1 off getting beat by that Tuscola team. Argenta, if you follow them in the News Gazette, they put together phenomenal football teams every year. So go Argenta.
Yep. Moving on to the other Cola, we got Tuscola against Warrensburg Latham.
Oh man, they're good too.
A team traditionally very, very good. They get a top 3 seed almost every year in the playoffs, but so does Tuscola. A combined 11-1 for these teams. Tuscola, we know 5-1, dropped a tough one against
St. Teresa
a couple weeks ago, and Warrensburg Latham undefeated 6-0. This game will be at Warrensburg Latham's field. They get the home field advantage on this one. It is going to be a very close game, very tough. I'm going to let you guys decide on this one first, I think.
I got to go with Tuscola. I've picked them in every single matchup so far this season, and I don't think I'm going to differ from that, so go Warriors.
They gave you 5. I'm going Warrensburg Latham just for the sheer fact that they're 6-0. They're just as good as Tuscola, but they got the home field.
I'm right there with you, Cale. I think Warrensburg's going to take this one. This is going to be a super close matchup, and I really hope Tuscola wins. But Warrensburg Latham has looked outstanding so far this year. They've played tough competition as well. And they have been unstoppable on offense. And I don't think Tuscola's defense is going to be able to get it done against this high-powered offense from Warrensburg. And they've got home field advantage. That's what really swayed me again. The same with the Argenta game. They've got home field advantage, so I'm going to take Warrensburg.
Didn't Tuscola play St. Teresa at St. Teresa? Or did they play?
No, it was home.
It was a home game.
Tuscola.
Yeah.
So not only did they have to play a good team, they got beat at home, but now they're going to have to travel to Warrensburg, which is just as good as a team as St. Teresa.
Warrensburg Latham is the number 1 team in 2A right now.
Yeah. That's hard to go against. I wish you the best of luck, guys.
Hey, man, I got to try and catch up here. I got to be different.
They're not bad.
And our last game of the week is going to be the alma mater, PBL versus Clifton Central. PBL sitting 5-1 on the season, Clifton Central at 4-2. Clifton Central, a team traditionally PBL struggles against every year. And when I say struggle, I think my homecoming games saw junior year we lost 44-7 or something like that. So we have struggled against this Clifton Central team. This is not the Clifton Central team of the past. Usually when we play them, they're still undefeated. But it's going to be another close one. PBL looks really good this year. But
the last 2 opponents they've destroyed.
This is another one I'm going to let you guys pick.
It's Clifton, man.
See,
I want to hear what you say.
We haven't beat Clifton in anything in a long time.
I don't know who Clifton is, and to be frank, I don't care. I'm going to take the Panthers in this one just because of what I've seen the past couple of weeks.
Going off of that, he doesn't know who Clifton is. Me and you know what Clifton is capable of. You've played him for 4 years.
And they will beat you up.
Who have they lost to? Do you know?
I did know, but I forgot. I want to say it was like...
Because we lost to the reigning state champions in Gibson City.
Right.
Hang on, this is good radio. He's got to look this up because I don't know, man.
It was 2 close losses, I remember.
I'm glad I don't know anything about him because this makes my pick, I don't know, interesting.
Yeah, this is an interesting game.
That's what it was. They lost to a Herscher team, a 5A team that plays plays Coal City, Wilmington, all those tough teams up there in the Power 8 or something like that. I forget what their conference is called. They played Herscher and lost 17-8.
Wow.
That's
close
really
game
close.
against a Herscher team that puts up a lot of points. Their other loss was surprising. They lost to Georgetown Ridge Farm. First game of the season, they lost 20-6. So that's
wow.
They started the season 0-2. They are 4-0 since.
All right, I've got my pick. PBL, I picked them to lose to Salt Fork last week. I've got PBL penciled in for myself, but with that Herscher loss, only losing 17-8, I'm gonna have to take Clifton.
Cale, they lost to Georgetown Ridge Farm.
Week 1.
I know, but man, that's a bad
Herscher
loss.
So in our half of the country, Gavin.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Herscher's a solid team. They've always been really good. So I'm gonna have to take Clifton.
That's fine. Give me another win in the column. That's okay.
That's a really good pick, Cale. The only thing that I'm differing on right now is T.J. Jones.
Oh,
this kid from PBL has looked absolutely phenomenal. He's ran for 940 yards so far this year and 14 touchdowns, something like that. He is the number 2 leading running back as far as yardage goes in the area. In all of Central Eastern Illinois.
2-time News Gazette top 10 winner.
Yep. He has looked phenomenal, absolutely outstanding. He's got an offensive line to back him up. I am going with PBL in this one. I think we will finally break that curse against Central.
There we go, Tyson.
So I'm going with Gavin on this one. That will be our 1-game differential this week there, Beans. And I'm taking PBL to move up to 6-1.
All right, you got 1 game left.
Did I miss one?
Yeah.
I think the best game of the week.
Yes. I knew I saved this one for a reason.
Yeah.
Yes. We have Monticello and Pontiac as our last game of the week.
Woo!
Both teams 6-0. Coming in hot, combined 12-0 record. Both teams have looked absolutely outstanding. We saw Pontiac beat up a St. Joe team that's really good. We've seen Monticello destroy everybody in their path. I don't even know what to say. Monticello hasn't had a close game, and Pontiac has beat good competition.
Yeah.
This is a team of 2 giants right now. It's going to be one of the most electric, fun games to watch this season. It's going to be a phenomenal game. I can't wait to see it. I really am torn on this one. I don't know who to pick. You guys got any thoughts before we?
The only thing I can say is that I know Monticello just because I've talked to people that have gone to the high school, so I've been to a game or 2 over there.
They're good.
I've seen what they're capable of. What the X factor is for me is that Pontiac and their football team, I have been oblivious to since hearing about their existence about 2 months ago. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say other than when they beat up on St. Joe. St. Joe has always been a team that, that has always beat up on competition from Champaign and Urbana. So, I mean, when you got, 5 and 6A schools going to play these 2A guys, and then they just come here and they play just as hard, they play just as competitive, and then you have a team like Pontiac that goes and stomps St. Joe, man, that just speaks volume to me. So I gotta take Pontiac in this one.
It's really tough. I'm going to read you off a list of scores for Monticello so far this year.
I'll let you change this if you...
51-0.
Yeah.
52-7. 35-6. 50-0. 56-8. And 41-0.
Right. But against who?
But
is what I
those
wanna know.
teams...
Not Pontiac.
Exactly. Olympia Delavan.
Trash.
I want to say 1-5 or 0-6.
Yeah.
IVC 2-4.
Trash.
STM 4-2. Decent team.
Surprise.
That was the 35-6.
Right.
Rantoul 1-5, BCC 0-6, Tolono 0-6.
Right.
So they have absolutely destroyed everyone in their path, but they have not really played anybody yet.
No, they haven't played anyone with more than 2 wins this season.
Right.
So
besides STM,
which like I said has been the surprise of the season. But I mean, that's like I said, what does it for me is that I know who St. Joe is out of all of these small schools besides Heritage Villa Grove. I know who St. Joe is.
Well, we do too,
and I know you guys do,
Yep.
which is funny that being at a school that it had over 1,000 kids in it, that I know who St. Joe is because they kicked our ass. So. Man, it's close. I think for me, it's going to come down to home field advantage, and Pontiac's got it because these teams are so close. I mean, I understand where you guys are coming from, and Monticello's offense is on a whole different level. But it's like I said, I've seen what Pontiac did, and they got home field advantage. Monticello hasn't played anybody of any relevancy yet, other than St. Thomas More, because they have been. I don't even know what the word is. I mean,
well, two of their last 3 weeks have been against Prairie Central and St. Joe, who they beat 36-30 and 42-20. They beat 2 teams that are 5-1 now.
Yeah, their only losses to them
or 4-2 for St. Joe.
Yeah,
right. So 2 outstanding teams, playoff caliber, championship caliber teams so far this year.
I gotta take Pontiac.
And their other wins come against BCC, Tolono, IVC, and Olympia as well.
Right.
They beat Olympia 49-7. They beat Tolono 20-10 early in the season, so the offense hadn't quite gotten there yet. They spanked IVC 40-7, and they beat BCC 35-14. So they put together some really good wins as well. But you're taking Pontiac in this one?
I have to. Yeah.
I'm taking Monticello. Monticello, I feel like it's going to give Pontiac their first loss. Just for the fact that we also know what Monticello can do. We didn't play them much, but they are in our school size, so we know exactly what they're capable of. Even though Pontiac has the home field advantage, the Monticello can put up points like there's no tomorrow, and they can shred defenses.
Monticello is a team every year when we looked at the playoff bracket, we said, please, dear God, let the line fall in between us. It was a team we did not want to play ever. We definitely didn't want to see them in the playoffs. They are right up there scary with Wilmington. Wilmington hasn't looked like the Wilmington team of the past, especially the team that spanked us in the playoffs. But this Monticello team is outstanding, and I think their offense just will not be stopped. I'm going to go Sages.
That's a good game, though.
I really hope I am wrong because I would prefer Monticello to win this game. I just
Pontiac's had some very good wins. I completely understand that. I was very torn in this one. I wanted to take Pontiac, but I think the offense of Monticello is just unstoppable.
See, and you guys said that you've actually played them before. I have never had the privilege of playing the Sages in the game.
That's the thing, is that me and him have an advantage on all these schools because you play about 4 of them.
Yeah, Unity and St. Joe are the only 2 that we've ever played in the 4 competitive sports. So, 4 major sports. Sorry, excuse me. So, yeah, but let's go ahead. We need to wrap it up here. We got a new segment because we haven't talked about it forever. Hockey's back. Cale has his top 3 players from opening day. Take it away.
All right, so at the end, if those of you who don't watch hockey or follow hockey whatsoever, at the end of each game, there's something called the 3 stars. So there's the 3 key players from each game. It could be from both benches. It doesn't matter who. But I'm going to do mine from across the league, and this is from opening night. I do have 2 from the same team, though. Gavin, he's going to get a kick out of this just for the sheer fact that those 2 are from his team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. First guy I got for the Maple Leafs, number 3, my 3rd star from opening night, center Jonathan Tavares. Netted his first goal in Toronto 2 seconds into the 2nd period. That's quick. So the fact that he did that is pretty remarkable coming off of his brand new contract. He just got paid, new team, new coach, new goaltender. But he's got a core of young talent around him, including somebody I'm going to get to in just a second. My 2nd star for the evening is Anaheim Ducks goaltender John Gibson, for the sheer fact that goalies don't get many stars. Very often it's usually position guys. If you don't have a good goaltender, you ain't going to win games. John Gibson stopped 31 of 33 shots. That's a save percentage of .923, Tyson. That's amazing. He only let 2 past him.
Anything over 900 is super good. And so he was above and beyond that by far.
Not only that, the Anaheim's offense powered him over to a 5-2 victory over a very good. Well, I'm going to say Stanley Cup contender, San Jose, because last year they made it deep into the playoffs. They just couldn't get it done over Winnipeg.
San Jose is a favorite, one of the favorites for the Cup this year.
Yep.
I was looking at all the picks from the ESPN insiders, the professionals for them for the NHL division, and I think San Jose and the Tampa Bay Lightning split probably 90% of the votes for the winner this year.
Yep.
So they're definitely a favorite to win, and they got spanked in this opening game.
Down there in Tampa Bay, they're doing things right. They've completely changed their entire core around. They went young, just like everybody's doing now. They need to go young because it's a young man's game. But my first star of the evening, Gavin, would be your boy, Austin Matthews. 2 goals in the home opener. I want to go that because his first game he ever played as a rookie, he scored 4. So, game number 1 of the opening season, your boy Austin Matthews scored 2 goals, 12:57 in the first, and then he racked up an overtime winner 4 minutes into the period. They beat a very good goaltender in Montreal, Carey Price. But yeah, I've got two Maple Leafs on there, just for the fact that team is going to be decent if they can get their goaltender to cooperate with them.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that you and me agree on is our goaltender and the struggles that he may endure this season. But there's also a reason that the Toronto Maple Leafs are the favorites to win the Cup this year, and that's because we got Tavares in the offseason, and I couldn't be happier. Playing for his hometown team, I always enjoy that. Whenever a player wants to play for a team that they grew up watching, I never have a problem with it, even if it seems to double cross the fan base or whatever stuff that fans want to talk about, right? I was very surprised that you chose two from Toronto, and I'm really appreciative of that.
Just big night for Tavares, getting his game rolling, new team, whatnot. So I understand why that one's in there. And then Austin Matthews, another great game.
He's going to be on this list a lot.
As he should be.
Him and Connor McDavid from Edmonton, which, he doesn't get near as much recognition up there as he should because he's in Edmonton. So Connor McDavid's going to be another guy to watch too. He just didn't have nearly as outstanding of an opening night as Matthews did. I want to talk about one more game real quick. Local Chicago Blackhawks. Me and Tyson, big Blackhawks fans. Before they were Stanley Cup champions, so a lot of bandwagoners, which great. The more fans, the better. Well, we beat the Ottawa Senators in our home opener. I want to highlight one thing real quick from that game. We had 4 different Hawks score. DeBrincat, Jonathan Taves, Seabrook from the 64-foot, top shelf cheese up there off that crossbar, and then Patty Kane in overtime. He scored that goal 38 seconds in the overtime, too. So that's a good thing, though, for this Hawks organization. We have 4 different guys score, including 3 veterans. Although I don't really want to call DeBrincat a veteran yet because last year was his first season with the Hawks, but he's showing a lot of positives. He might be a guy that I might really fall in love with this year, but obviously Jonathan Taves and Patty Kane are always going to have my heart.
Well, and I love seeing the gumption from this Blackhawks team. Put up 2 goals in the first period and still ended up losing the period. They went down 3-2 after the first. Very high-scoring first period, and they kept it together, and they ended up coming back and tying it at 3-3 in the third, and then they won it in overtime. One of the main things for me with this Blackhawks team, they put up 4 goals tonight. One of those was overtime, so you can say that counts or not, but we had a hard time putting up over 1 goal in almost every game last year.
Yep.
So the fact that the offense has kind of come back alive, even though Taves and Kane were on the same line to start that overtime, that's why we won in 30-some seconds with all our star power out there. But they put up some goals, and that was great to see.
I will say this, the Blackhawks are going to struggle a little bit in our division with Detroit and St. Louis. St. Louis is strong, Detroit is strong, but they usually are. Don't let that loss in overtime fool you to the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're another solid contender, which I never thought I'd say that. But they've also got the Breadman, so Artemi Panarin.
Well, we've got to play the Predators, who have been a favorite the last couple of years.
Shea Weber, PK Subban, they're stacked too.
And, I mean, the Wild are still decent, even though they're a bad team in this division. But they've still got guys, and they still beat us last year. So, very tough division this year. It reminds me of the NL Central almost. But yeah, they're going to have a rough time in that, playing the Red Wings, playing the Blues, playing the Predators. It's going to be a long season unless they can keep scoring like they did last night.
And for you Blues fans out there, a rough night against the Winnipeg Jets. They lost 5-1. Winnipeg, though, they're solid. Right behind their star-studded rookie, second-year guy, Patrick Laine. He's a stud. And then you got Dustin Bufflin out there as well, passing to line A from the 64-foot blue line. So I don't know. Winnipeg's going to be – there's a lot of Canadian teams that are going to be good this year. You got Toronto. You got
I think
Winnipeg.
last year was the first time we had more than one Canadian team in the playoffs for the first time in like 10 years.
It's been a while. Calgary's bad. Ottawa's bad. But the Canadians
There
are
are other four of them.
Toronto, Winnipeg.
Even Edmonton has a chance if Connor McDavid can keep
Well,
scoring.
I wouldn't say that Montreal is a contender, but I wouldn't say that they're at the bottom of the barrel.
No.
Oh, absolutely.
No, Carey Price keeps them up there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Toronto took down a very capable Montreal team, but I still think the better team won that night. No doubt in my mind.
Absolutely, they did. It's just Carey Price kind of fell apart.
Right. One more thing I want to touch on is that, man, I do have my Blackhawks gear, man. You guys make it sound like I don't support my local team. I watch them when
I'm excited for you this season.
when the Leafs aren't doing well. I know when they got knocked out of the playoffs in the first round, which went down to 7 games, and I was really disappointed. I was really pulling for them to win that one. But I started watching the Winnipeg Jets over in the Western Conference. So the Blackhawks are my Western Conference team. Toronto, my Eastern Conference team, obviously. Whole reason I started watching hockey, Austin Matthews, that's my boy. I love you, bro. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. If you like what you heard, make sure to leave a comment or rating in the box below. Also, make sure to hit that big red subscribe button and maybe click the bell icon next to it so you don't have to miss a beat. Also, make sure to follow us on our social media page on Twitter at sports_twin. With that said, my name is Gavin Campbell. That was Tyson Snyder, Cale Fleming, and we will see you guys next time.
Peace.
Based upon the view, you can't have too much trouble. So why can't we do it? Everybody's doing it. Let's start the fireworks, stand back and enjoy it. Oh, oh. Bombs